Hi. As I've been working with some of my students, I realized that we need to practice some of the rules that we've already learned. Even though your child may have mastered a certain rule, it's always important to go back over some of those rules, repetition, and just practice so your child can keep those fresh in their minds. Okay? So let's practice the silent E. Not always, but most of the time, when you have an E at the end of the word, it changes this vowel to a long sound. Okay? Now typically when you're sounding out words, you always start with short sound. B-ack. But when you have a silent E, it makes this long. Now sometimes if you just see the word, you're not going to know if it makes sense or not, unless it's in a sentence. So for example, b-ack. Your child may sound that out and think it sounds okay. You need to give the clue silent E so they know that it's bake. Okay, it's easier if it's in a sentence. I like to b-ack. Does that make sense? No, doesn't make sense. We need to change it. I like to bake. Okay, let's try the word hope. Okay, your child may say, I hop. I get to play. Does that make sense? That's what I always ask. If it doesn't make sense, then change it and see if it makes it, the sentence makes sense. I hope I get to play. Okay, so practice silent E. Again, not all words that have E at the end are silent E's or make the vowels long, but that's just a rule that you need to practice. Okay, another rule that we need to review is when you have two vowels together. Whenever you have two vowels together, most of the time the first one will say its name. Okay, your child has probably practiced sounding out each individual sound. For example, in the word eat, they may sound out at. Of course, that does not make sense. Even in the word at. That's too many sounds and too confusing for a child to learn how to sound that out. So we try to chunk some of the sounds and some of the letters together. For example, ea. When two vowels are together, the first one says its name. So you'd say long E. Eat. So if your child read, I like, oh, there's a word with silent E. I like to at chips. Of course, that doesn't make sense. Just say that doesn't make sense. I like to eat chips. Okay? I flaw at in the pool. And we've learned ooh. I mean, two O's make ooh or I float in the pool because O and A together, the first one says its name. So when two vowels go a-walking, the first one does the talking. It's kind of a cute way to say it. So when two vowels are together, the first one says its name. Float. Okay? So practice that and we'll move on to something else.